So the number 5 top story of the week is scenes from the frontier of Bitcoin Treasury Companies. This is from Scoresby, 23 comments, 6,175 sats. Keyan, what's this?
Yeah, I think Scoresby went on a bit of a rabbit hole when he came across a post on X, and I think it was from a stray treasury company. So there are so many of these treasury companies now, and he was curious about it because he hadn't heard about it, and then he kind of clicked on link after link trying to figure out where, like, if he could identify a familiar person or strand from the company, and it just kind of gets weirder and weirder as he goes deeper, never really finding anyone that is familiar to him. Because like most of the treasury companies that we're familiar with are like Michael Saylor's strategy, or what do we have? Metaplanet. There are a few others, I think, like Strive. Again, there are a lot of them, but this is not one of the ones that we're familiar with. It's like it's another company, and then there's like, they're managed by a consultancy who is somehow related to another company that strictly does investor relations, but only for Bitcoin companies. Anyway, it's just the conclusion of this is it's frothy right now. The Bitcoin Treasury environment is like super frothy. We have a bunch of unfamiliar people shilling things. Like one example in here is a food company that, when you go to their website, primarily directs you to an investor relations website. It's kind of what you'd expect, where a lot of these people are like phasing out the company that maybe allowed them to be a public company or have some status in the market, in favor of just being a Bitcoin holding company.
Yeah, we had optimism with the top comment. He said, or he's quoting the conversation that Scoresby had there. He says, "It's easy to live in a safe little bubble where everything about Bitcoin is familiar and we know how people talk. But Bitcoin is an open, permissionless system, and there's probably a lot more scamming going on than you suspect." And then Optimus says, "Fix that for you." Scoresby said, "There were so many points in the OP where I could have used that word. I'm generally reluctant to call people scammers, though. The term fits so much of this industry. If once one starts, I'm not sure where to stop." Optimism said, "Yeah, I was sarcastically proposing hyperbole, even though I kind of believe that it's got about 99.99% chance to be true in this case too. The problem that the industry has in that the most efficient route in Bitcoin to transact is as peer-to-peer as possible, as close to L1 sats as possible. That means currently on chain for larger amounts and peer-through-peer using the lowest possible fee route on Lightning. This causes a dilemma for bankers because the Bitcoin system is rigged against them. There's no need for a middleman. Thus, you see very little legit services and many technically unnecessary attempts to seek rent. But I do agree with you that we could call everyone a scammer, and it's kind of a bad hyperbole, even when it's true." Yeah, Keyan, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I like being as neutral as possible, but I think so. I like that Scoresby was neutral and didn't want to call these people scammers, although it has all the appearances of a scam. And then I also appreciate Optimism just calling it out, because it's somewhat of a risk to call someone a scammer, or at least I feel like it's a risk. I don't want to be wrong when I call someone a scammer. So yeah, I think it is a scam.
I think they're all headed to, and we were talking about on the car ride over here. Like, I think it's going to lead to more SPACs, right? It's going to lead to more like Ripple SPACs. We're going to get Cardano SPACs. We're going to get Ethereum SPACs. We're going to get all shitcoin SPACs. Probably get a Doge SPAC at some point. And then they're going to turn into their own banks, right? So we're going to get a Doge bank. We're going to get a fucking Ripple bank. We're going to get all these fucking banks. And yeah, that's what